Good morning, Joe Winebanks.
Good morning, Stephanie Miller. How are you?
I'm better now that you're here.
Oh, good. I thought I had turned into the wrong channel when I heard that last.
So, Joe, obviously the big question, and you tweeted about this, as did your friends, Lawrence Tribe, John Dean, etc. You said Dems must stop the kangaroo court McConnell is planning, national exposure of evidence and calling witnesses Trump withheld is the only way articles of impeachment should go to the Senate. I mean, once again, we're in uncharted territories, aren't we, where we have people that are going to have taken and will be about to take an oath to be impartial jurors. McConnell and Graham saying, already decided, no witnesses. They've rejected what Chuck Schumer asked for, and here we are, right?
Exactly. In both the living memory cases, that is Nixon and Clinton, there was bipartisan support for both sides. And here you have a situation where I believe some people are listening to the facts and are responding to that, but would like the fuller facts, which is the people that have been obstructed from coming before Congress, people like Bolton and Mulvaney, who really have firsthand knowledge. And you can't complain that people with firsthand knowledge haven't testified if you're the one who isn't letting them testify.
Yep.
And
well, Jill, here's the what I think could be key in the bad news for them. I don't know if you saw this, the latest Washington Post ABC News poll, 71% of Americans say Trump should allow top aides to testify at Senate trial. 55% say House hearings have been fair to Trump, not a coup. And at this one also about 50% say he should be impeached and removed. And this is, as you know, close to where it was for Nixon before Nixon resigned, right? More than, right?
Yes. It's all the facts. I didn't know about the 71% polling number, and that is really remarkable and should give the Republicans pause, even though McConnell has said, too bad, I'm not going to let any of those witnesses testify. But it really, when we mention a kangaroo court, that's what the Republicans said was happening in the House. The House is not a court. The House is a grand jury. The House looks at, as any grand jury does, evidence to see if there is probable cause to proceed with a trial. The trial is where the full facts come out, where the defendant has full due process rights if the defendant will use them. Here they have offered way beyond the rights that are necessary in the House, and the president has refused to cooperate.
Well,
So
it's clear they don't want a fair trial because it would further implicate the president, not exonerate him. As we said, it doesn't even take a law degree to know that, if anyone could exonerate him, they'd be clamoring to have them come testify, right?
Exactly, because all the facts are uncontested. The Republicans, in all of their buffoonery, have done a lot of silly things, but they have not at one point even tried to challenge the truth of the facts. The facts are that the president had a long-running campaign to try to smear Vice President Biden, who he feared as an opponent, and not based on any truth or any fear of corruption in Ukraine, but simply based on, I want to do something to damage the Democrats and specifically Biden. And there's never been any challenge to the fact that Giuliani was doing that his team Sondland was doing that he was doing that. That's what that phone call saying, do us a favor, though. That's what it means. There's no way they have challenged that. Oh, yes, they're arguing that us means the U.S., not me personally. But listen to Donald Trump's talk. He talks in the royal we. He constantly refers to himself as us, as the royal person. And that's what we will be making him if he is not held accountable. And I think particularly on the refusal to give documents and witnesses to the House, that would be the end of democracy. There's a really interesting quote that I saw on television, and I haven't been able to get it online, so I can't give you the exact words. But it was Representative McClory from Illinois, a Republican, who ended up voting for the second article and the third article, but not for the first, which was the obstruction of justice for covering up the break-in, but for withholding evidence from Congress. he voted for it, and he said, if we do not do this, it is the end of our system of three separate branches of government. It's the end of checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
It is the end of democracy. And he was right 40 plus years ago, and we need to make sure that at least that article is held up.
Then fine. Let's blow up power of the purse. Let's blow up, separate branches of government. I mean, it's so, Eric Swalwell pointed out, Jill, that look what they've done without one single document being produced. Right, and like I say, and all of these key fact witnesses, as you always say. But how about this? So, lawyers for the Democratic-led judiciary told a federal appeals court Monday that secret grand jury materials from Bob Mueller's probe are needed for Trump's impeachment inquiry and likely Senate trial. They should already have had access to that. The Justice Department, of course, arguing the House should not have access to the documents. The DOJ has argued the impeachment inquiry was not legitimate because it had not been authorized by a vote in the full House. Well, now we have that.
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen with that? They are absolutely entitled to that material, right?
They are. They are entitled based on precedent. They will be entitled once the court rules, and let's see what happens then. But that's just one more reason why they should not allow the articles of impeachment to be forwarded to the Senate. There's two reasons. One is because it will not be a fair trial unless the Senate agrees to allow witnesses, and specific witnesses who were barred prior to, sorry, I used that word.
Yeah.
Who were prevented from testifying by
right.
the Department of Justice, by the White House. And the second is because there is obviously more evidence to be obtained, not just from those witnesses, but from the Mueller report. And so you might amend the articles of impeachment later by adding something that you learned from the grand jury material.
Mm-hmm.
And remember in Watergate, we, the prosecutors, thought that that was essential for the House to act on. And we asked permission on the day of the indictment. We had a separate request of Judge Sirica to allow us to give all of the grand jury testimony, including tapes and transcripts of those tapes, to the House. And that was upheld, and we ended up giving what was called the roadmap to impeachment to the House Judiciary Committee. That was really relied on by them. They didn't need to reinvent a trial. They had not only the public testimony at the Senate, but they had the grand jury information.
Yeah.
And, so
I'm sure, by the way, that will show that Trump lied to Mueller. I mean, it's just there. This just goes on and on, right? I mean, in terms of, and by the way, that whole phrase, "that's a low bar," has totally been ruined by this current Attorney General.
God, there's so many words we have to change in the American language because of his name.
Everything he does, you go, well, that's a low bar.
Actually, that one sort of applies. It is a low bar.
Yeah. Your friend Lawrence Tribe, of course, agrees. He said a prosecutor armed with an indictment has no duty to proceed to trial while the fix is in. The reason there's no precedent for holding articles of impeachment until a fair trial can occur is that no Senate majority leader has ever said what McConnell is saying. So, Jill, just take us through it. So because I've been asking this question, what happens? So they vote them tomorrow, but is that a separate vote to send them to the Senate? So tomorrow he will be impeached, correct? And then what?
Yes, they have to make clear in the articles that they will not be forwarded, so they may need to add language that they are voting to impeach him on these grounds, but holding those articles until a further investigation is done, until the court rules on the grand jury testimony, until the Senate agrees to have a full and fair trial. I mean, it's shocking. It should be to everyone who's listening and to everyone who's listening to Fox News as well, that the foreman of the trial jury would say, "I'm working with the defendant and his lawyers to make sure that the outcome is that he is acquitted." That's what McConnell said.
Yeah.
And in a normal criminal trial, everybody would be indicted for that behavior. And yes, I recognize that impeachment allows bias. It doesn't allow blindness, and it doesn't allow anyone, and many, it's not just McConnell who have said this, obviously Lindsey Graham has, as have many other senators. I'm not listening to the evidence. I don't care about the evidence. He's a great president, and so I'm going to vote to acquit him.
Yeah.
And that just isn't how justice works.
What do you think, Jill, if the handful of moderate, Republicans who just see this number this morning that 71% of Americans want to see these witnesses, they could force a fair trial, then what happens when McConnell and Trump and Graham realize they're screwed? If there's a real trial, then what?
Then there'll be some negotiating, maybe. I don't know what that will be. Maybe it would be, resignation in lieu of trial. Maybe it would be not running for a second term. And
you just made us all get shivers up our leg.
Ooh, yes.
Chris Matthews shivers.
Oh, I got resignation shivers.
Resignation seems like Donald Trump would never do it, but not running for re-election, that would do
Interesting.
it. Although, think how unhinged he would be and how dangerous in the remaining days. Aside from the pardon power, there's so much other damage that he could do in terms of climate, in terms of foreign relations. So it's, in the period between the election and the inauguration, a lot of damage can be done.
Yes.
But if you extend that period, it's remarkable what could happen.
If you watch old crime movies, it's the period where he runs out of bullets and before he throws the gun at us.
Yes.
You got it.
Follow Jill's campaign, Say This, Not That. You said no digging up dirt, yes to making up dirt and not investigating, but announcing an investigation. Again, there is no dirt on Biden.
Right.
It was make up dirt.
Exactly.
Yes, and someone else just corroborated that. Who is it, am I thinking, Jill, that just said, didn't have to do the investigation. Someone just admitted that again.
All the witnesses in the impeachment inquiry said, as far as I understood it, he didn't care about the investigation. He just wanted it announced to hurt.
Because they knew there was no dirt. All they wanted was the appearance that there was dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why, it's not a quid pro quo in terms of witnesses. If the Republicans say, well, okay, we'll let Mulvaney testify if you let Hunter Biden testify. Mulvaney has direct knowledge. He is a direct fact witness to the president's actions.
By the way, I can't hear you say fact witness in that Chicago accent enough.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Can't get enough.
I have to learn how to speak better. Sorry.
No, I love it.
no.
Oh my God, I
Don't
love
change
it.
it.
That's how I fell in love with you before I met you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Because, by the way, you retweeted Nicole Wallace, who said the GOP performance yesterday should put to rest any doubts among Democrats that Joe Biden is a lethal threat to Trump's reelection prospects. And you say that's why I'm running to be a Joe Biden delegate.
Yes.
So you're a Joe Biden girl.
I am. I really believe that he is the middle road, sensible person who can run this country in a way that may bring people together again. But I believe that this whole election is unfortunately aimed at a very narrow group of people. It is not aimed at the base of the Democrats because the Democrats will vote for anyone who isn't Donald Trump.
Yep.
And it's not aimed at the Fox News viewing Trump supporters because they will not give up on Trump. They will not. They don't believe anything because they're not seeing the facts.
I'm
people in the middle, and
Yeah.
those are the people that need to vote. That and the young people who didn't vote last time must go out and vote.
Jill, 100 million people didn't vote last time. That's who we need to right. And I'm a Liz girl right now, but I still love you, and I will. And I don't just mean I'm not just saying vote blue no matter who. I will proudly and happily do it. And you know what? The only campaign ad we should run is Lindsey Graham going on and on about what a decent, fantastic, amazing man Joe Biden is.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, I mean there are so many clips from the past to play. And by the way, I like Liz Warren a lot. I like they're actually almost 100% of the candidates I hope will be in the cabinet.
Yeah.
I think that would be an awesome, awesome candidate.
Yeah.
Mayor Pete, in 8 years from now, after Biden finishes his term, will be amazing.
Yeah.
I think that Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, I love Amy too. I do. Yeah.
I love her a lot. I think she's fabulous. I love Stacey Abrams. I love all. I mean, all the candidates.
How great an attorney general would Kamala Harris be?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they all. When you watch the debates, don't you see a fabulous cabinet surrounding the president?
I do.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing.
Let's end on a good news thing. You said another good court decision defending the justice system. Michael Flynn's sentencing after judge rejects his attacks on the FBI and justice. As we always say, hopefully justice is coming. More importantly, the memoir, The Watergate Girl, is coming. It's available $225.20. You can pre-order online at your favorite bookstore right now for our favorite Watergate Girl.
Thank you. It's very fun. And I also want to remind everyone that tonight is protest rallies around the country. If you are in the Evanston area, please come to Fountain Square tonight. I will be speaking as will Daniel Biss and representatives of the NAACP and many other organizations will be there, and I will have my petitions ready for signing.
There you go. Chicago Steph Heads, assemble! Chicago Sexy Liberals, assemble. All right. All right, and we will be...
Just like me.
What's that?
Everybody will talk just like me.
Yes, exactly, about the fact witnesses out there in near Schaumburg.
Right.
Okay. Now, so listen, I want to talk to you again. Treason's greetings and happy holidays.
Have a very wonderful end of the year,
Thank you.
I'll talk to you next year.
You too. So grateful for you. I know. Happy Impeachment Eve.
Fun.
Happy
Have
Impeachment
a
Eve.
wonderful time.
You too. All right, honey. Love you. There she goes.